All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of July and we finally got the scariest movie of 2024. Big kudos to Oddity for coming in clutch, giving us some weird, spooky ass shit. So why don't we give a big round of applause to Oddity. So yeah, no, all silliness aside, I thought this movie was scary as hell. And I know that's like a pretty subjective thing. It's like, you know, just because I find it scary doesn't mean you will. You know, we all have different tastes and different things that scare us. But for me personally, when I sat there in the theater, I was pretty damn creeped out. I was pretty scared. I was a little wimpy boy, you know, in that theater. And it's like every horror movie that comes out, the trailer is like, you know, the scariest movie of the year. I feel like every horror movie that came out this year had some sort of quote that said the scariest movie of the year. And I feel like this one really earns that. I mean, it does earn that. It is the scariest movie I saw this year. The jump scares are well done and they're creative. It ain't just like a bunch of bullshit. It's not a cat jumping on someone's lap or the classic, like a character turns around too fast and bumps into somebody, or somebody who closes a medicine cabinet and you see somebody in the reflection of the mirror. It's none of that shit. Every jump scare in this movie, you're seeing something frightening. So it's like not only are you jolting because of the sound, but the image that you're seeing on screen is like terrifying. So it's like this double whammy of, you know, a really effective jump scare. And the mood and atmosphere, like these elements blend together in some sort of diabolical soup, and it's delicious. Now, just because I think it's the scariest movie of the year, I don't think it's the best horror movie of the year. I think these two things can be separate and be different, because I don't think this is the best horror film of the year. There are some problems with the movie that I have that kind of prevent it from being the best horror film of the year. Needless to say, if you were let down by Longlegs or Maxine, or you just want a good old-fashioned scary-ass movie, then seek no further than Oddity. It is fantastic. I think it may keep some people up at night. So I'll leave the plot summary very brief here, but it's about a blind, white-haired, weirdo chick who loses her sister, and so she visits the home where her sister passed away, and she uses objects to communicate, to figure out how she died, and to possibly kind of maybe get a little bit of revenge. That revenge. And I'll keep it there at that. I want to just be as brief as possible with the plot. I went into this movie knowing absolutely nothing, so I kind of want to extend that same experience, so I'll just gonna keep the plot summary at that. But man, the way this movie opens, oh my god, dude, what an opening, man. What an opening. So the movie opens with this woman who is just moving into a new house out in the middle of nowhere, because of fucking course she is, and she's, you know, doing some work inside the house. She goes outside, it's at nighttime, she goes outside to get something from her car. She hears a noise out in the bushes. She looks around, sees nothing, goes back inside, you know, no harm, no foul. That must have been nothing, right? Just a little bird or something. And then she gets a knock on the door, which is, fuck that. Anyways, on the door, there's like a sliding little peek window. You know, she slides it open, and there's a man out there, and he's like, hey, you need to let me in. She's like, the fuck I am. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I've been out here for a little while. Don't worry about that. Don't worry why I've been out here for a while. But while you went to your car, so I watched somebody walk into your house. There is somebody inside your house right now. And she's like, what? And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, let me in. I'm gonna help you. Like, there's somebody inside your house. I'm not gonna spoil how that kind of wraps up, but needless to say, that's how the movie opens, and I can't think of a better way to get the audience engaged. Like, what a predicament. Like, it's one thing if like someone knocks on the door and it's a creepy guy. It's like, oh, you know, we've seen that a million times. But the fact that like this guy's like, hey, this random stranger in the middle of the night is like, hey, I just watched somebody walk into your house. There is someone inside of your house. And it's like, what does she do? And like, we're thinking that, we're processing that, like, fuck, what would you do? Do you risk letting this guy in and maybe he's lying to you and he's gonna kill you? Or do you let him in and there is somebody in the house and, you know, your life is saved? Yeah, I don't know. It was such a fascinating and like very scary kind of way to open a film, because it's just like, oh my gosh, is there somebody inside the house? So yeah, brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant opening. And this leads to probably the best jump scare in the movie. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say it involves a tent. That's all I'm gonna say. And it's not even just the jump scares. Like, again, this movie builds tension and has tense scenes. Like, the way this movie opens, what I described, that there's no jump scares in that scene, but it's tense. It gets you, like, involved in the plot, and there are many moments like this throughout the film. It also does a really good job at, like, doing setup and payoffs. Like, I love setup and payoffs in movies. I wish more movies would do them. Unfortunately, a lot of movies set things up and then don't pay them off. But in this movie, like, there's a scene early in this movie where a side character gets murdered, and it seems so out of place and so random, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And then, like, the movie kind of just moves on and you forget about it. But then at the end of the film, when the story kind of, you know, gets unraveled and things start to make more sense and all the pieces are starting to fall into place, you're like, oh, that's okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to move on to some of the things I didn't like. But yeah, just to reiterate, you know, scary, terrifying movie, creepy, atmospheric, you know, it checks all of the boxes. And man, it was a refreshing watch to actually watch a scary movie. So yeah, what prevents this movie from being like it's the scariest, but like what prevents it from being like the best horror film that I've seen this year? And you're gonna have to like take what I say with a grain of salt here. I imagine that what I'm about to bitch about, you probably don't care about, or most of you probably don't care about. I'm a little bit of a movie snob, I fully admit it, and there are like little things that bug me, and one of the things, the biggest thing that bugged me of this movie is, you know, the overall just production value, you know, and I know that sucks. They're working on a low budget, so I totally get that. They do the best they can with what they got, but like, the aesthetics of this movie, I thought were so dull and boring. Like, the movie feels like I'm watching like a made-for-TV BBC movie, or like one of those PBS masterclass. That's kind of what this looked and felt like. And in fact, it has a feel of like a period piece, but it's not a period piece. It takes place in modern day, but it has that look and feel. Like, everything is blue, and there's the lighting is like really flat. It's very gray. It's just kind of I don't want to say an ugly looking movie because I think that's a little too harsh, but it's just like a boring looking movie. And so I know that's a really nitpicky, fucking uptight opinion to have, but I mean, I couldn't help but think, like, man, this looks kind of gross. Especially coming off of something like Longlegs and Maxine, which, again, I know those guys had a bigger budget to work with. I totally understand that. But just, like, coming off of those movies that look beautiful and gorgeous, the lighting is incredible, it's color graded very well. Like, going from those to this was, like, it was, like, 10 notches down. It was pretty rough. And then the other thing is the story. It's like, I don't know, the story... It hooked me in some ways. Like, it really didn't hook me until like the last 40 minutes. Like, once the pieces starting to fit into place, I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen next? This is crazy. It's all going down. Let's go. But everything that led up to that, it kind of like meanders for a while in the middle of the movie. It's like, okay, we get the setup of the murder of the sister and the sister going to the house, but then once she gets to the house, the movie kind of just revels in the spookiness of the house and has all the jump scares, which again are effective, but there's never a moment in the middle of the movie where I was like, oh, what's going to happen next? Like, I wasn't on the edge of my seat, like, plot-wise, to see like what was going to happen and where the story was going to go. But again, once we get to the climax and once we get to like all the reveals, it's like, oh, okay, then I started to like move forward in my seat, like, oh, okay, this is okay, now we're going to some interesting territory. Those two things kind of, you know, downgrade this movie a little bit, but again, you know, if you don't care about that kind of stuff, then hey, I think you're gonna have a blast with this movie. But yeah, guys, I highly recommend this one. If you've been foaming out the mouth, if you're like, God, I just want a scary movie, like, I'm tired of the atmospheric, slow burn, A24, like, if you want a fucking scary movie, go watch Oddity, man. One of the best horror movies of the year. Not the best, but it's one of them. It's definitely up there. It's been a while since a movie creeped me out and scared me the way this movie did, so highly recommend this one if you're a horror fan. Please go check it out. Like I said, if it's not playing locally, it'll be on Shudder, you know, probably within the next couple weeks or the month. Give this movie a shot. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this movie, or when you do get a chance to watch it, let me know what you thought of the movie. Am I crazy? Did you not find it scary at all? Am I a fucking big old baby? Which, you know, you don't have to tell me that. I already know I'm a big ass baby, but yeah, I'd be curious to know, did you guys find this scary at all? Or am I just being a big old wussy wuss? So yeah, hope you guys enjoy it, and till the next time, I will see you on the next one.